Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about a serious and often overlooked topic, the consequences of patronizing prostitutes. This isn't just about personal choices, it has far-reaching effects on individuals, relationships, and society as a whole. Many people don't realize the hidden emotional, physical, and social impacts that come with engaging in this behavior. From psychological distress to legal risks, and even contributing to cycles of exploitation, the effects go much deeper than most assume. In this video, we'll break down the real consequences, what it means for those involved, how it affects relationships, and the bigger picture that many choose to ignore. Stick around because this is a conversation that needs to be had. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about the personal consequences for those who engage in this behavior. Patronizing prostitutes might seem like a quick and easy solution to certain needs, but the emotional and psychological costs can be severe. Many people who engage in prostitution do so because they're struggling, whether it's financial instability, substance abuse, or escaping personal trauma. If you're supporting this industry, you're contributing to a cycle of exploitation. At first glance, paying for sex may seem like a transaction with no strings attached. But what's often overlooked is the deeper impact it has on a person's emotional and mental well-being. Many individuals who seek out these services are searching for more than just physical pleasure. They're looking for a sense of connection, validation, or an escape from loneliness. Unfortunately, the reality is that this kind of interaction rarely fulfills those deeper needs. Instead, it can lead to long-term emotional distress. One of the most common feelings experienced after engaging in prostitution is guilt. Many people report feeling a sense of shame afterward, realizing that the momentary satisfaction was fleeting and did little to address the root of their emotional struggles. This guilt can become a heavy burden, affecting self-esteem and leading to self-destructive thought patterns. Then there's emotional numbness, a condition where, over time, individuals begin to lose the ability to connect deeply with others. Because these interactions lack genuine intimacy, they can reinforce a sense of detachment, making it harder to form meaningful relationships. The more someone engages in transactional intimacy, the more they may struggle with forming real emotional bonds. Instead of feeling fulfilled, they end up feeling emptier than before. Another consequence is increased anxiety and stress. Many who participate in this behavior carry the fear of being caught, whether by a spouse, partner, family, or even law enforcement. This constant worry can create an underlying sense of paranoia, leading to long-term stress that affects both personal and professional life. In some cases, this stress can spiral into serious mental health issues, including depression. For those in relationships, the impact can be even more devastating. The secrecy and deception involved can slowly erode trust, creating emotional distance between partners. If the truth comes out, it often leads to betrayal, broken relationships, and deep emotional pain for both parties. Even when hidden, the knowledge of engaging in such behavior can create internal conflict and a sense of self-loathing, further isolating individuals from those they care about. It's also important to consider the long-term effects on self-worth. Relying on paid intimacy can distort the way someone views relationships and personal value. It can create a pattern where genuine connections seem unattainable, leading to a cycle of continued detachment. Over time, this can make it harder to experience true intimacy and meaningful companionship. So, ask yourself, is this really meeting your emotional needs? More often than not, the answer is no. The cost of engaging in this behavior isn't just financial. It takes a serious toll on mental and emotional well-being. Rather than seeking temporary fixes, finding healthier ways to build real connections and address personal struggles is the better path toward fulfillment and happiness. On top of that, there are significant health risks associated with engaging in this behavior. We're talking about STIs, HIV, and other sexually transmitted infections. Even if safety measures are in place, the reality is that the risk is much higher in the sex industry. The lack of regulation, poor conditions, and often unreliable protection put everyone involved in danger. When people think about the risks of patronizing prostitutes, health risks are often overlooked or dismissed. Many believe that using protection or selecting a clean provider reduces their chances of contracting a disease, but the truth is far more complicated. The reality is that the commercial sex industry is one of the highest risk environments for sexually transmitted infections, STIs, including HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, herpes, and HPV. One of the biggest misconceptions is that using protection eliminates all risk. While condoms can significantly reduce the likelihood of transmission, they are not foolproof. Improper use, breakage, or non-use in certain situations still leaves room for exposure. Additionally, many STIs, such as herpes and HPV, can be spread through skin-to-skin contact alone, meaning protection doesn't always offer complete safety. Another major factor is the lack of medical regulation and inconsistent health screenings in the sex industry. Unlike licensed medical professionals who adhere to strict health standards, most individuals involved in prostitution do not have regular access to healthcare or consistent STI testing. Many may be unaware they have an infection, which increases the chances of transmission to multiple partners. Some individuals even avoid medical checkups out of fear, stigma, or financial barriers, making it even more difficult to track and control the spread of infections. Moreover, certain STIs, such as HIV, may not show immediate symptoms, meaning a person could be infected for months or even years without knowing. By the time symptoms appear, the infection may have already spread to multiple partners. This is particularly concerning because some STIs can have lifelong consequences, leading to complications such as infertility, organ damage, chronic pain, and increased susceptibility to other infections. Beyond personal health risks, this issue extends to public health concerns. If an individual contracts an STI through prostitution and later engages in sexual activity with an unsuspecting partner, they are putting that person's health at risk as well. This creates a ripple effect, spreading infections within communities and placing further strain on public health systems. Many outbreaks of drug-resistant STIs have been linked to high-risk sexual activity, making treatment more difficult and costly for society as a whole. Additionally, mental health is deeply connected to physical health. The stress of potentially contracting an STI, waiting for test results, or dealing with a positive diagnosis can lead to anxiety, depression, and shame. For those in relationships, this can cause emotional distress, break trust, and even lead to serious personal consequences such as divorce or social isolation. This isn't just a personal issue, it can lead to a wider public health concern, putting your own partners at risk, your future relationships, and even people you care about. With these health risks in mind, it's clear that patronizing prostitutes isn't just about a single decision, it's about long-term consequences that can affect not only you but also your loved ones and society at large. Making informed, responsible choices when it comes to intimacy and relationships is crucial for maintaining both physical and emotional well-being. Patronizing prostitutes also has a major impact on your personal relationships. If you're in a relationship, either romantic or otherwise, being involved in this behavior can severely damage trust. Infidelity, dishonesty, and secrecy are often at play, leading to broken relationships and emotional hurt. One of the most devastating effects of engaging in this behavior is the breakdown of trust in relationships. Whether you're married, dating, or even just forming connections with people in your life, secrecy and deception create emotional barriers that are difficult to overcome. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and once that trust is broken, it's incredibly hard to rebuild. For those in romantic relationships, infidelity is often the biggest betrayal. Even if the act itself is purely transactional, the emotional impact on a partner can be devastating. The discovery of such behavior can lead to feelings of betrayal, humiliation, and deep emotional pain. Many relationships don't survive this kind of breach, and even if they do, the emotional scars can last a lifetime. Beyond the betrayal itself, secrecy breeds emotional distance. Hiding something as significant as this from a partner means constantly lying, covering tracks, and living with fear of exposure. This creates a double life, making it nearly impossible to maintain emotional closeness. Over time, partners may sense the dishonesty, even if they don't know exactly what's happening, leading to suspicion, anxiety, and resentment in the relationship. But what if you're not in a romantic relationship? Does this still impact you? Absolutely. Even if there's no direct betrayal of a partner, engaging in this behavior can change the way you interact with others. The guilt, shame, and emotional detachment that often come with this can make it harder to form meaningful, healthy connections. Many people who engage in these transactions experience internal conflict, knowing deep down that what they're doing doesn't align with their personal values. This can lead to feelings of self-loathing, depression, and emotional withdrawal. Instead of fostering real, fulfilling relationships, a person may start avoiding deep emotional connections altogether, leading to a cycle of isolation and loneliness. Over time, this behavior rewires how a person views intimacy and relationships. The more someone relies on paid intimacy, the more likely they are to struggle with forming genuine emotional bonds. Real relationships require vulnerability, effort, and mutual respect, whereas transactional relationships offer a shortcut that ultimately leads to emptiness. Additionally, engaging in this behavior can affect family dynamics and friendships. If loved ones find out, it can lead to judgment, disappointment, and damaged relationships. Many people underestimate how their personal choices can ripple outward, affecting the people who care about them the most. Even if there's no direct involvement with a partner, the internal conflict and shame can carry over, impacting how you relate to others, making it harder to form meaningful, healthy connections. It's a vicious cycle that can destroy emotional bonds and leave you feeling disconnected from the world around you. At the end of the day, relationships are one of the most valuable things in life. When our actions compromise our ability to build and maintain those relationships, the damage can be long-lasting. Making choices that support emotional well-being and genuine human connection is key to living a fulfilling life. Now, let's zoom out a bit and think about the broader societal consequences. The sex industry is often linked to human trafficking, exploitation, and organized crime. By participating in it, you're not just affecting yourself, you're indirectly supporting a system that thrives on abuse and coercion. While some believe prostitution is simply an exchange between consenting adults, the reality is far more complex. A significant portion of the industry is built on coercion, deception, and desperation. Many individuals involved in prostitution didn't choose this life freely. They were forced into it due to poverty, lack of opportunities, or even direct exploitation. Human trafficking is one of the darkest aspects of this industry. According to global reports, a large percentage of individuals in prostitution are victims of trafficking. They may have been lured in with false promises of work, only to be controlled by pimps, traffickers, or organized crime rings. Many are subjected to violence, abuse, and threats that leave them trapped with no way out. Every time someone pays for sex, they may be unknowingly contributing to this system. Even in cases where a person appears to be there by choice, the reality is that many are operating under extreme financial distress, addiction, or emotional manipulation. The demand for prostitution fuels the supply, which in turn feeds trafficking and organized crime. Beyond the human cost, there's also a wider societal impact. A culture that normalizes the buying and selling of human bodies sends a dangerous message that people, particularly women and marginalized individuals, are commodities to be used and discarded. This reinforces harmful stereotypes, deepens gender inequality, and weakens the value of healthy, respectful relationships. It's also important to think about the overall impact on our culture. When we normalize behaviors like this, we contribute to a culture of disrespect and objectification, where people's worth is reduced to their bodies or their services. When transactional relationships become widely accepted, it shifts how people view intimacy and connection. It promotes instant gratification over meaningful relationships, making it harder for people to build genuine emotional bonds. It also leads to a disconnect between physical intimacy and emotional well-being, which can have long-term negative effects on individuals and communities. Additionally, societies where prostitution is widespread often see higher rates of violence against women, increased sexual exploitation, and weaker protections for vulnerable individuals. It creates an environment where abuse is easier to justify and harder to fight against. At the end of the day, our choices don't just affect us, they shape the world around us. When people stop supporting industries that exploit and dehumanize, they help create a society that values mutual respect, dignity, and real human connection. The good news is that this cycle can be broken. Recognizing the consequences and understanding the impact of your actions is the first step. If you or someone you know is caught in this cycle, it's never too late to seek help. Change starts with awareness. Many people who engage in this behavior don't fully realize the damage it causes, to themselves, to others, and to society. But once the truth is acknowledged, there's an opportunity to make better choices. If you or someone you know is struggling with compulsive behavior, emotional detachment, or reliance on transactional intimacy, help is available. Therapy, counseling, and support groups can provide a safe space to unpack deeper issues, whether it's loneliness, past trauma, or emotional disconnection. Many organizations offer confidential support for individuals seeking to break free from unhealthy patterns. Beyond seeking help, it's important to replace destructive habits with healthy, fulfilling alternatives. Real intimacy and connection aren't found in fleeting transactions, they're built through authentic relationships, trust, and mutual respect. The key is to find healthy ways to meet emotional and physical needs, without exploiting others or putting yourself at risk. Here are some ways to build healthier relationships. Invest in real connections, strengthen relationships with family, friends, or a romantic partner through open communication and shared experiences. Work on self-improvement. Engage in activities that boost confidence, such as fitness, hobbies, or personal growth programs. Seek professional help. Therapy can help address underlying emotional wounds and create healthier relationship patterns. Support ethical relationships. Whether dating or forming new friendships, focus on relationships built on mutual care, honesty, and respect. Breaking the cycle is not just about stopping a harmful habit, it's about choosing a better path. A life built on authenticity, meaningful relationships, and self-respect is always more fulfilling than one based on secrecy and regret. Fostering true intimacy, connection, and respect will always lead to a more fulfilling life and healthier relationships in the long run. Now it's up to you. If you're ready to make a change, take that first step today. Help is available, support exists, and a better future is possible. Thanks for tuning in to this important discussion. It's not always easy to talk about topics like this, but it's important we address the real consequences and how we can make positive changes. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it. Let's keep the conversation going and work towards building a more compassionate and respectful society. Until next time, take care.